Hello again and welcome to I've Got a Beatles podcast with Dave and Chris, and it's that time of year.
Yeah, I
We
see. You
we
got your wrapping paper there. You've got
I
your
do. I've got my
sticky
list.
tape.
I'm gonna check it twice here because there's I don't know if have we been naughty or nice this year, given what we've been given from the Beatles.
And
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But
I'll tell you this: most of the solo Beatles have been very naughty,
very naughty this year.
very
Yeah,
naughty.
that's for sure.
So,
Yeah, not great. But it's a holiday tradition. A lot of people may go out. I saw some people getting trees around
yeah,
Kansas City this weekend and Thanksgiving. But our big tradition at I've Got a Beatles podcast is our holiday gifts episode.
that's
And
right.
for anyone joining us for the first time, the way we do these, we talk about in categories. We talk about the Beatles and then solo. We talk about all different things like books and apparel or
Yeah,
all different things. We talk about recordings, DVDs, videos, and then at the after we finish our Beatles recommendations, we talk about our favorite reissues that are not Beatles related or re-releases, and then some new items, new recordings released this year in 2023 that are also non-Beatle related. So that's always a fun thing to do.
I had one regular listener tell me that she always skips the gifts episode because she's like, I'm not going to
Oh,
buy any gifts, and I'm like, well, it's sort of a year in review.
that's
It's one of my favorite episodes because it kind of like gives us a chance to assess. All right, how'd we do? How'd the Beatles do? How did we do predicting? Which
yeah,
this year
yeah,
was trash.
yeah.
Um, how'd the Beatles do releasing? Which, and what's maybe on the horizon for next year. So I think it's a good episode to do. The prices may vary. In fact, I was telling Dave, like, oh, you should go get that Paul McCartney lyrics book. The price is this. Then I looked it up and it was like $7 cheaper. Like, I only bought it a few days ago as a gift
uh,
for. So it was like, oh no.
Yeah, they get you. They get you.
Yeah.
So, well, that's actually a really good advice from our listener is that maybe we should think of this more as a Beatles and Friends and associated acts year in review.
Yeah.
And also, we'll end end of the episode with the with predictions for 2024. And
Wow. Yeah.
as Chris alluded to, we didn't do so well. I don't think anybody, nobody predicted the beginning of or at the end of 2022 that we would have a new Beatles song and that the Red and Blue albums would be the main highlight of the year. But
Yeah.
we'll do our
Probably,
best.
I'm gonna guess like Giles Martin and those guys didn't
It,
predict it either.
that's true. Yeah, that's true. We shouldn't feel so bad here. But in any case, I always have a good time with this too because Chris, as he does whenever we do cover song episodes or anything related to cover songs, he does deep dives and he goes very deep into the well for some of these apparel,
Yeah.
scouring the Beatles solo websites and the Beatles websites for all different kinds of gifts and tchotchkes and trinkets and things that you
That's
can
right.
find. So we'll
That's
get
right.
right into it. Without further ado,
Yeah.
we can start right out with our Beatles stuff.
Well, probably the biggest release of the year was, of course, from the Beatles, their final song, Now and Then, still available on the website, the Beatles website. The CD still available, $9.99. The 7-inch is 16.98. The color variant 7-inch, couple of different ones are still available for 19.98. The 12-inch for 22.98,
Oof.
which is the same price on Amazon as buying a full Beatles album.
Yeah,
So
exactly. You can get Abbey
so
Road for that, right?
yeah. And then the cassette was sold out, and I just out of curiosity went to eBay. And these cassettes, these people are listing these cassettes of two songs for something like $600,
Oh,
$700, just
oh,
ridiculous amounts. Don't buy them.
yeah, yeah. Don't
Like,
indulge them.
don't indulge these people. It's crazy. Spend your money better, guys. If you're thinking, I really need to buy this cassette for $600 on eBay, maybe you should be rethinking things.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense to collectors. I mean, well, I've got some real treats for some collectors coming up here soon, that I found. But yeah, let's keep it reasonable. So so that's now and then. You didn't purchase it, neither
No.
did I. Except for I did get it on blue. It's
Yes.
red and blue came out.
Yes, if you heard our last episode, which thanks for your comments and posts, we got a lot of feedback on our review of 1962 to 66 and 67 to 70. And obviously, this was a big surprise. I mean, we'd heard it teased earlier in the year, but to actually get all the information and actually hear it, most importantly, I think was a big revelation. And you and I were pretty positive about them. And in our last episode, we talked all about the uh, your LP version that you got.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, as we know, there's lots of different configurations, and it was, I think, the big highlight of the year, in addition to Now and Then.
Yeah, just to show you how these prices go up and down. So I had pre-ordered the red and blue, so they came, and when I pre-ordered the red, the price I was listed at the time was $59. Now it's $70
Ooh,
and
went up.
99 cents. Went up, shot back up from what they were. The
Wow.
blues going for $69.99. That's as of our recording here.
Hmm.
You can get them together on vinyl with the slipcase on the Beatles site for $149.98. You can get the color variants, only I believe available on the Beatles store. Those are $79.98. The version of that with the slipcase, I think, was the first thing to sell
Yeah,
out.
that was gone.
Yeah, that was pretty quick. And of course, everything also available on CD with that different running order than is on the as vinyl, as we talked about in the last episode. The CDs costing more like $29.99 a piece, like a reasonable
Yeah.
CD, 2 CD greatest hits price. So not too bad prices wise, but they have shot back up.
Hmm.
So it's like on you if you want to wait. That happened with some of these other things, particularly a couple years ago with Let It Be.
Yes, I bought that one later, and it
Yeah,
went down.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Although
yeah,
I'm told my a student I mentioned of mine in the last episode, I mentioned him. I think he said he's the revolver one. He's waiting to buy that, and it still hasn't changed
mhm,
price. So that maybe that one's
yeah,
they made too many Let It Be's and trying
yeah,
to get rid of them didn't
yeah,
sell.
yeah.
But
Quite possible, quite possible. So
yeah.
that's the Beatles releases for this year. Of course, we had predicted
Mm.
that we were going to get a Rubber Soul. I was like 99% sure we're getting a Rubber Soul, and no, that didn't come this year. Was that planned? And then they swapped that for this when they decided to release that last song. Perhaps we'll find
Yeah.
out. We'll see if we predict that again at the
Yes,
end of the
exactly.
episode.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the other Beatle. Let's start with Ringo. How about we do that? Ringo
Okay.
Starr, and of course, a couple episodes ago, what did we talk about?
Well, we talked about his newest EP, Rewind Forward,
Yeah.
which we've liked. I think of the EPs so far from Ringo, I think I put this one my favorite, and you might have put it second favorite, if I
Hmm.
remember correctly.
Yep.
But we were pretty positive towards it, and uh, the music, not the
Yes.
totally ridiculous pricing and variants, and the cassette and the $22 record. Well, so
Well,
what are we at now these days?
right now on Amazon, the Rewind Forward CD is $11.99. For some
Oh,
reason, it's totally jacked up, like high price on the Ringo site. The vinyl is $22.99. Remembering this is 4 songs we're
four
talking about.
songs, folks. Yeah.
And the cassette is $24.99.
Ooh, that's the most expensive of all.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what he's doing there, but At least streaming, I like to listen to it. I
Yeah.
particularly like that last song, Miss Jean. That was pretty good.
Yeah, that came on one of my Spotify daily mixes, and I thought, oh, that's a nice that's it sounds good to hear that again. So yeah, these I think these rewind forward songs are holding up a little better than some of the ones in the past.
Yes. Now, special alert.
Okay.
Just released. Did you miss picking up the old wave re-release last year?
Yeah.
Did you miss picking up Stop and Smell the Roses? Both of those had been record store day releases, I believe, in 2022. Well, they're back
Oh yeah.
in yellow submarine editions. I think
Oh no.
these are from a store called, or a publisher called Culture Factory, and I believe there are French pressings of these LP on yellow vinyl, colored vinyl. So you can get the Stop and Smell the Roses yellow submarine edition
Woohoo.
and the old wave yellow submarine edition, and it says right on there, collector's edition, one pressing. So if you're a guy who likes to collect different colors, you can get these. They're going for $29.99 a piece on Rough Trade Records. I even saw it on the Barnes and Noble's website, so it might be at Barnes and Noble if you go there. But if you like color variant collecting, they don't have the extra bonus tracks though that were on
Hmm.
the now I might suggest, if you still go looking for those record store day releases on eBay, I've seen them going for less than they were
Oh.
sold on in stores. So maybe people are trying to move that product out there.
In
So
contrast to the Now and Then cassette, which has
yeah,
gone
exactly.
skyrocketed
It's
up.
Oppo. It's
Yeah.
the opposite particularly on old wave. I was like, oh, that's how I can get that for 24 bucks on
Hmm.
eBay. So yeah, so that's that.
Okay.
So that's Ringo though. At least Ringo's getting some of these out there again.
Yeah. Good.
Or agreeing to have someone else put these out there.
Right.
But you can get these in like I said, Rough Trade Records. I've seen them on other sites. I was like, what is this? Because it wasn't
Yeah.
Ringo Starr's news site on his little website there just needs, they need somebody. It's almost like Ringo himself is
Yeah.
updating it, because
I think
it's just not got all the news out there. We've got some piece of news we'll tell you later.
yeah.
That's
Speaking of,
that
yeah.
we got the news from elsewhere, not from Ringo's site. So needs to keep it sharper.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Now we got one release this year from Paul McCartney.
Boy, is this could you say this might have been the worst solo Beatle year yet? I
Yeah,
don't know.
I'm trying to remember, just with the Paul stuff. I'm trying to remember a year so devoid of Paul
Yeah. Yeah.
music releases, at least. What's the last year? I mean, it has to be like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
before the first archive series is
yeah,
maybe
it's been a long time because if even if we didn't have an archive series, we had McCartney 3, or
yeah.
you had McCartney 3 reimagined, or you had something.
Or they'd have these vinyl, sort of fresh up your vinyl. Remember when they released like 8 colored vinyl
Oh,
things?
right, right.
One of which I bought recently.
Yeah, and the
I told you
Amoeba
about.
and the Choba
Yeah,
CCCP.
that's right. That's right. And all of
Yeah,
those.
yeah.
So this year, nothing. Just
No.
the Half Speed Master of Red Road Speedway. That was back in April, as I predicted back there, when there was a lot of hand wringing about, oh no, it's a record store day release. How unfair! We won't be able to get it. Guess what? Still available.
Hmm.
Yeah, I saw it listed on Pop Market, which is just a basic music site where you can buy a bunch of stuff. I think Acoustic Sounds had it. So anyway, you can get them at kind of the regular price they were out at if you're still looking for the Red Rose Speedway Half Speed Master. Dave, though, as of this recording date, no announcement on the band on the Run Half Speed Master. And the previous four, McCartney, Ram, Wildlife, Red Rose, all corresponded, came out about the same time they came out 50 years ago. We thought,
Right.
oh, this is obviously going to be a trend. I was like certain it was going to be part of the record
We
store day, Black
we have
Friday.
you on audio saying
Yeah.
it's a guarantee.
Yeah. So
I know.
I
Should
just
have
don't,
been.
I
Should have
don't
been.
get what's going on. What is
No.
going on here?
I don't know. The only thing I could think of is Paul was so wrapped up in Now and Then and the other stuff that they just pushed this one to the side. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that can be in
Yeah.
our predictions for 2024. Who knows? But it did break the streak, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, one thing we had predicted again was that there'd be archive series this
Yeah.
year, and it would be Back to the Egg and
Yeah.
London Town. We have egg on our face.
Yeah. I think that
They actually they have egg on their face.
they do. They
So
do.
for not
I know.
pathetic release here. So
Yeah.
there was a little sale on You Discover Music a few days ago for Black Friday. And there's a few missing gaps on my collection. One was Paul is Live, and one was Choba CCCP. So
Yeah.
I had to pick those up because I got nothing to buy for Paul.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ridiculous. So John Lennon, no John Lennon, but we've been told for certain that there's a Mind Games box set coming out. So
Yeah.
we'll cover that in predictions because that's obviously
Happening.
like
Yeah.
happening. So, but George Harrison, no new stuff. There was an email, if you remember, a little announcement around February that, all right, we've got the George catalog back together with the publishing rights. It's all under the Dark Horse label now. And they put out the spatial audio exclusive to Apple Music, which neither of us have. So
No.
that was, we were like shrugged our
Useless.
shoulders, and
Yeah.
that was useless information to us. But they were like, oh, we're gonna release as much color vinyl as we can get away with. Remember that?
Yep.
Nothing.
Nothing.
But there are a few releases George related that came out from Dark Horse Records. One of which, Ravi Shankar's Shankar Family and Friends, produced by George. So that's available out there. And then for this Black Friday record store day, I actually was in the store and I was like, oh wait, I didn't hear about this. A couple releases. One was the Ravi Shankar and Ali Akbar Khan in concert 1972, also produced by George. And Splinter, you're a big Splinter
Oh,
guy,
yeah.
right?
Oh, diehard Splinter
Yeah.
fan. Yeah.
Splinter, The Place I Love, produced by George, and George plays all over that album as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So those are out there and freshly out there, and I'm sure you can check them out at your local record shops. Maybe we should start doing a Dark Horse Scruffs.
I think we should because you could do some Joe Strummer and
Yep.
yeah, Splinter. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on
Yep.
there. So
Now, one upcoming, unfortunately, there's no physical product out now, but Danny Harrison and his album Understanding, which we both listened to, we both liked it.
yeah, yeah.
It's interesting.
Real dark album.
Yeah. But no physical product yet on that. Well, we may do a review of that more towards when the physical product does come out.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah, I know. Pretty grim. And we were thinking
Yeah.
the whole year was going to be a wash until
Yeah.
we heard Now and Then in the red and blue. We thought the whole year was going to be
We thought we
nothing.
were gonna only be able to hang our hats on
Rewind forward.
Dolly Parton.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Sorry, how could we forget 77-year-old Dolly Parton, who was just doing a halftime show? Wasn't she on Monday Night Football?
Dressed up as a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader? Yes,
that's right. That's right. Singing a few of her hits there, looking pretty great. And she did. She's now apparently a rock and roll star, having this duets album with none other than Paul and Ringo and
That's
many
right.
others. But
yeah, so they did.
you got info on that one.
She did the song "Let It Be." right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so they played on that one, and I haven't really listened to Rockstar at all yet. I will get around to it. The reviews have been kind of mixed.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think a lot of the reviews are like, it's just cover songs and the production's a little overproduced.
Right.
Um, Speaking of overproduced production, depending on what reviews you're reading, Rolling Stones as well with Hackney Diamonds. What's the Paul plays on that one, right?
Paul plays on one of the songs. Yeah, he plays a kind of a fuzz bass
Mm-hmm.
on one of the songs on that album, and uh, the album's getting great reviews. And the Rolling Stones are going out on tour. I see.
Yeah,
Are they coming to Chicago? Are you gonna go check them out?
they are, but I don't know if I can.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can afford the tickets on those.
probably not going to be cheap.
Consider I'm sort of gauging it on what my the price of my Bruce Springsteen tickets were that I saw Bruce
Oh,
Springsteen this year, and I'm like,
yeah.
will I have the money?
Mm,
Probably not. Probably
right.
not.
Well, they're going to
Yeah,
be playing a lot of the Hackney Diamonds songs, so it's been
that's right.
getting good
Maybe
reviews. And
Paul will pop out. Oh, hello.
oh yeah, here we are.
Here I am. I'm going to play the bass on this one.
Let's
So
be in a band. Yeah.
I haven't really listened to that album enough to develop an impression, but it got mostly good reviews and then some really bad reviews. Pitchfork gave it a terrible review.
Oh, I didn't
So
check that out.
so kind of mixed as far as that goes.
Okay.
Now we do have one DVD Blu-ray release, Beatles related, and that is The Lost Weekend: A Love Story, which you saw in theaters, I
Yeah,
believe.
that was the movie that May Pang put together of the time of the Lost Weekend with when she was kind of assigned by Yoko to go out and accompany John in LA. And I thought it was a great movie. I really enjoyed it. And s- you see a different side of John, a different side of May Pang, and very, very good recommendation for me to go see it. So we'd been talking about doing a put him in the movies about this, but unfortunately, there was no streaming and no way to get it. But Chris noticed recently that it was put out in October on DVD Blu-ray. So
Yeah, and you
uh,
can also purchase it on streaming on the way you can usually purchase things on Amazon or Vudu or any of
right,
those things. So the DVD Blu-ray is going for $18.49 on Amazon as of right now. So that's yeah, I'm sure we'll have that be one of our put them in the movies of 2024.
definitely, definitely,
Let's move on to books. And
yeah,
I guess the biggest book of the year was 1964, Eyes of the Storm, Paul McCartney.
yes,
His pictures. And that's going for about half price now of what it would initially was out there on Amazon, at least, is currently $37.50. That's pretty fair price for what you get there with all those pictures.
yeah. For a coffee table book and
Mhm.
stories, it does have quite a few stories. I did not buy it. I checked it out from my Kansas City Public Library
Mm,
and enjoyed looking at it there. And it also went along with this exhibition of Paul's photos. I don't know if it's still making the rounds or if it's finished up, but it was in the U.S. recently,
mm.
and I enjoyed it. I thought it was some of the a lot of photos we'd never seen before, and Paul, who knew? I mean, we knew Ringo had been taking lots of photos, but Paul mysteriously found all these while putting together Linda's an exhibition for Linda, and
Yeah.
it's well worth a look through. So glad
Paul's
that
had more action as an author and a
it's
photographer this year than he has as an actual musician.
that's
Uh,
right.
I'd like
Because
to
there's
give it back to
another, yeah, it
there's
gets
there's another release, of course. Last year or the year before was Paul the Lyrics in hardbound cover, which came in a slipcase with two different hardbound books. I got it then.
hmm.
But I just repurchased it as a gift to someone unnamed.
Hope they're not
Uh,
listening.
and in paperback, and it comes in one big, like kind of thick paperback. with additional songs included, with much to the consternation of some fans who got the hardback book. But that's the way all books happen,
Yeah, yeah.
guys. Like, don't get too upset about it and complain. I mean, when do we have to complain about everything?
No,
And
no.
then for the second thing, that's always like, if you get, like, say you get a re-release of some paperback, some popular paperback from, that's like a biography of somebody, and then they'll add more chapter
Yeah, that's true.
to
An
catch up,
updated.
like update. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's sort of like that. So Paul the Lyrics, going a few days ago, it was $22, and now it's $15
Mm.
on Amazon. So maybe that's certainly worth a gift at $15 for somebody.
Well, and to go along with it, you can also read the lyrics and then listen to the new podcast that
Yeah.
now I think they're in their eighth or ninth episode that
Mhm.
Paul did with Paul Muldoon. And so we talked about that a couple episodes back, but you can go listen to these lyric chapters come to life as
Yeah.
well.
I've enjoyed that very much
Yeah, me too. Me
myself.
too.
So is there any other books coming out from like, I don't know, maybe another Beatle?
Oh, I just happened to be I really don't even know where I saw this, but literally November 24th, 2023, which was that not Thanksgiving? That was like, well,
Yeah.
Friday. Maybe. Yeah, like a couple days ago. Suddenly there's an article in the AP. Ringo Starr takes fans on a colorful tour of his past in new book, Beats and Threads. And it's Ringo drum. The subtitle is Drumming Legend and Fashion Icon Ringo Starr. And it's it's published Friday. Oh, so that was okay, 2 days ago. Yeah. Is an illustrated journey through the former Beatles drummer's decades in show business, featuring images of everything from his drum kits to his trend-setting wardrobe. The 312-page book is being sold through the publishing division of Julian's Auctions. And of course, it's a ticket to ride through fashion and Beatles history. Ooh, cringe.
Oh,
Uh,
this must be cheap if it's going through an auction house.
must be,
Publishing division
must
must
be.
be
Well,
reasonably priced.
absolutely. So it's got a list price of $80,
Wow.
along with signed limited editions for as
Hmm.
much as
Oh,
$750.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah. All proceeds will be donated to the Lotus Foundation, which offers support for various charitable projects from substance abuse to homelessness. So there
I
you
checked it
go.
out. I went on the website that it was mentioned, and you can put it in your cart and purchase it, but it just says pre-order, and it doesn't
Yeah.
say what date it's coming out or anything like that. So weird in anyway, but weird also to not have enough information. And once again, where is this on Ringo's site? What are
Yeah.
you doing, guy?
Yeah.
Let's
To your
let's
point earlier. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I think we have a few more books, and these books are probably the most interesting things we'll talk about here, because they're new things, and we rarely talk about books unless you're interviewing an author.
Yes.
And of course, earlier this year, you interviewed Jude, I
Jude
believe.
Sutherland Kessler, yes, with Scott McKinley, who with their audiobook of She Loves You. And
That's
we
right.
had a great time, great interview. Jude and Scott are lots of fun, so check that
Mhm.
out.
Yeah.
If you check out the latest Jude work.
Yeah, and you might want to buy that audiobook, and that way you can hear all the guy who does really good impression.
Yeah,
It's not even really impressions. It's just like great active voice acting
exactly.
of all of these different characters in the book, really bringing it to life.
Yeah.
But a couple other books here. The Mal Evans book. Let's tell me about that one.
Yeah, so a friend of the show, Ken Womack, who's appeared on our program before, gained access to Mal Evans's diaries and has been going on tour. If you follow him on social media. He seems to be everywhere, publicizing this book and doing interviews and workshops and things with Gary Evans, Mal Evans' son. And the name of the book is Living the Beatles Legend: The Untold Story of Mal Evans. And it just came out a couple weeks ago. I have a copy being sent to me by the publisher, so I'll look forward to telling you more about it when I've had a chance to get through it. But it looks like it'll be pretty interesting and give us, Mal was this mysterious figure in some ways. He was there for everything,
Mhm.
but he didn't give interviews or didn't, and then he died in 1976. So we just sort of, the story has not been told. So I'm excited to see what Ken has unearthed and how he tells the story.
The
Yeah.
book's going for right under $40.
Okay.
Looks like a good one.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Definitely. Yeah. Another one is by a controversial author.
yeah, of course, Philip Norman, who some
Yeah.
Beatles fans just loathe Philip Norman, and they're like, we're not gonna read any of his stuff, and really rake him over the coals for some possible inaccuracies and some of the previous stuff. But I read his a couple years ago, that Paul McCartney one came out, and I read it. I thought it was pretty good. And of course, before that, he had had a John Lennon one, and before that, he
Well,
had a Beatles Shout, I believe was
yeah.
the Beatles one.
And that was interesting. You said you liked the McCartney one because the criticism of him was that he was really anti-McCartney and he was totally in the Lennon camp.
Yeah.
So interesting that the McCartney one was pretty decent.
Yeah, not just pretty decent, but I think like reframed Paul
Mm.
as like kind of some more into avant-garde music than John had ever been,
Hmm. Hmm.
until John met Yoko, and then suddenly we think of John's the avant-garde, like
Yeah,
boundary
far
pushing
out.
one, and Paul's just the one that listens to old 20s music and stuff like that, and that wasn't really the case.
No.
Um so I liked that book, but now is he doing Ringo next?
Maybe eventually, but before that, we're going in order here from John, Paul, and now George. The Reluctant Beatle is
Uh-huh.
Philip Norman's newest book. So very
Right.
curious to see how he frames George. I read a review in the Wall Street Journal that my aunt sent me, and it was pretty positive overall. It said that some of the criticism is that George is portrayed as being it's maybe a little too negative or a little too sour about George's views about being in the Beatles and fame and all the stuff that we hear about. But I mean, George was pretty sour about it, so
Yeah,
not anything new, but it was positive. So I'll look forward to checking that one out too.
that one's going for about 28.60 on Amazon as of right now.
Great, great.
And then one more book. This one's The Beatles by Terry O'Neill, the definitive collection. More of a photos book. Terry O'Neill, a photographer.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that one's going for 29.99. So any of those, I think I'd like to give it a look.
Yeah. I've got a few that I can run through quickly here. So
Hmm.
one about called Good Sunshine State: How the Beatles Rocked Florida. And this by
Uh,
Bob Keeling, and a pretty famous story about how they didn't want to play in segregated Florida.
yeah,
But they also did play in Ed Sullivan Show in Miami. So kind of telling that whole story. So I think that's, as someone who used to live in Florida, I'm curious about that one. Uh, then we have a book that I just got. Actually, here it is. I'm showing you.
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's called Paul McCartney, Music is Ideas. Kind of sounds grammatically weird, but uh, the Stories Behind the Songs, Volume 1, 1970 to 89 by Luca Perassi, who's an Italian author who also wrote a book, an earlier one, about McCartney called Paul McCartney Recording Sessions that I have that one in my house as well. And he's really good, really thorough, dissects every song, and one of those kind of books that goes
Yeah,
through personnel, story, dates of recording, kind of the whole works. So a
I
good
like it.
complement to the Cozen Sinclair book, I think.
Yeah, McCartney Legend, love it. It's a
Yeah,
really great, fantastic book. So, yeah, I think I want to check that one.
looks like a fun one. Then we have Steve Matteo, did a book called Act Naturally, The Beatles on Film. I've seen him interviewed by a bunch of podcasts and kind of going into the Beatles film career.
Hmm.
So that if you're interested in knowing more about Deep Dive on Magical Mystery Tour, there's your source for that. And then the last two I have are uh, by the same author, Katie Kaporch, friend of the show, has a book out now called Blackbird: How Black Musicians Sang the Beatles into Being and Sang Back to Them Ever After, that she co-wrote with John Mark Smith. And this this goes back to a story that she and I used to, she's a friend and a Beatle colleague. We used to talk about how Paul discusses and has maybe revised or changed the way he describes writing Blackbird, and kind of
Hmm.
came out of, how he talks about, oh, I was in, Little Rock, I saw the protests and for civil rights and all that. But now she and Katie and John Mark Smith have gone even deeper into how the influence of black musicians have affected the Beatles both ways. So I think that'll be one to check out. And then finally, I'll conclude with the book I'm in, and that's The
Whoa.
Beatles and Humor: Mockers, Funny Papers, and Other Play, which
Wow.
came out earlier in the year. And I have a chapter in that book about Paul McCartney and pastiche, and
Hmm.
how Paul's use of pre-existing older styles in some of Chris's favorite songs. Like, I mean, you could start with Honey Pie or When I'm 64, but even going to Baby's Request and You Gave
Yeah.
Me the Answer. Suicide is in there. So, all these different tunes, but how Paul uses uh, pastiche to as a big part of his own songwriting style. So,
Very
uh,
cool.
yeah, so that book right now it's very expensive, but Katie assures me it will be going down in price soon. But I'll post a link to it in our description. So, lots of books this year.
Yeah, fantastic set of books. And when they come out sort of towards the end of the year a lot of
Yeah,
times. And then I'm
yeah.
like, man, which one do I like? Because I am a slow reader.
Well,
So I'm like, I don't know if I should get the Philip Norman or get the, you know, Ken Womack.
yeah.
So
And they all come out right when
so
you're short of money at the end of the year
that's
for
right. I'm
holidays.
buying presents and stuff by then.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on, Dave, to gifts, shirts, things like
Yeah.
that. And I want to talk a lot about shirts here because I think there's some missed opportunities here with some of our um Beatles. They could be selling a lot more than they're at least giving a lot more of a variety of
Mm.
items on their website. But probably of all of the entities, the most together, the most with a plan is the Beatles.
Always, yeah.
Now and Then comes out, you get Now and Then shirts. Red and Blue comes out, you get Red and Blue socks, Red and Blue this, Red and Blue that. So here's a few of the better ones. The $40 Now and Then blue with the John signature
Mm.
a shirt, which I said should be the cover instead of the
Yeah.
cover they have. Very nice. They also have the clock on a shirt, on a white shirt. I don't ever buy white shirts, so I immediately was dismissive of it, but maybe you like white shirts. That's good. There's lots and lots of red and blue stuff, some good, some bad. There's a really great looking button down camp shirt, what they call it, camp style, which
Mm.
is like really, to me, it looked more like a bowling shirt. And it looks nice, but it's $80. One of the
Ooh.
highest priced shirts on
Ooh.
the whole site.
Ouch.
And then the red and blue raglan shirts with the cover on, but it's a raglan, where the sleeve's a different color.
Yeah.
Those look nice, but those are $50. So the prices vary. Now there's something I think we can take as a big clue here.
Okay.
You get, so Now and Then comes out, you get a bunch of Now and Then shirts. Red and Blue comes out, you get a bunch of red and blue shirts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Currently, I was just seeing what I could get other than that on the site. I can get album covers of Help, the White Album. You can get Let It Be related stuff. You can get Revolver related stuff. A lot of Revolver stuff from a couple years, like last year, still on the site. You can get Sergeant Pepper stuff, but there right now, Dave, is very, very little Rubber Soul related clothes. So maybe there's a bunch of them about to hit the site at some point next year. So yeah, so I sort of took that as a clue. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so the Beatles site, Dave, we always like to play this game every year, which is guess the price.
Last year or the year before, there was the pinball machine that was like $40,000 or something.
Yes.
I don't know if there's anything that crazy this year.
No,
but
generally, I want to say it seems like they've unless they have a specific, they're working with somebody else, like that Obla Da shirt I was talking about last year.
yeah.
That's still on the site. You can still get that at a ridiculously high price because it's supposed to be extra fashionable or whatever. So there is some of that, but generally you can get some good deals. And but we'll just see what you think the price is going to be.
Okay.
All right. Nightwalk, the Beatles Abbey Road dual image AirPod case. So this is a special case where you can put your AirPods in, and it's got the Beatles walking on Abbey Road, just figures of them in yellow, and some stars in the background. How much would that cost you, Dave?
Just a case.
Just a case.
$40.
$70, Dave. $70.
My God. Okay.
Abbey Road ukulele. This is a Hal Leonard ukulele, and it says the Beatles Abbey Road on it, and it's the picture, not yet in yellow. It's the real Beatles.
Okay.
They're walking across the Abbey Road, and it's a blue ukulele. How much?
150.
$60. Reasonable.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good deal.
Yeah. Now, the Let It Be cufflinks. These are two cufflinks. And it says, let it be, one in black, one in silver. And they appear to be silver cufflinks. How much would that cost you? All they say is let it be, too.
That's all they say is let it be. Okay. Yeah. $35.
$195.
You're
Does that
kidding.
make any sense? I don't. Okay, now you've got a Beatles Yellow Submarine oval mug. So it's a sort of a more oval shaped mug. It's a big handle. You get on one side, you get a picture of blue meanies and it says the Beatles, and then on the other side, you get the 4 Beatles images and a yellow submarine. How much is that oval mug?
$30.
$14. So I'm like, what
are these?
Why are
prices?
some of these things super reasonable and the other things insane?
Wow.
I don't know. And then the last one here, this is a part of the holiday cheer collection. The Beatles X in partnership with Radco Yellow Sub Baubles ornament. It's sort of a garland. Okay. So you'll get one thing will be a yellow submarine. The next thing will be like a green apple. And then you get the drum, the Sergeant Pepper drum. And it's all linked together into a big garland that you put on your tree. How much is that going to run you?
Ooh. Well, holiday stuff's always expensive. So I'm going to say $89.
$800. No. $800.
I just missed a zero.
Who is buying this?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's your there's your Beatles
Wow.
site. So the next site I want to talk about is the George Harrison site. They've got a couple of really great items here. One is a "Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth" ornament, with the little insignia that goes with the song "Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth." You know that one? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the
And that
Krishna symbol.
yeah, and this one is 17.99. Not bad at all. Not
Mm-hmm.
bad at all. Also they've got a gnome crew neck shirt. I'm sorry, a gnome limited holiday edition gnome sweatshirt.
Ooh.
With all, it says "All things must pass," but it's the gnome. He's dressed up kind of in Christmassy outfit. He's carrying some presents on his back, and this one's going for $55. Not bad for a pretty cool shirt. There's also a limited edition Live in Japan t-shirt in red, which is just a like very good looking shirt. That one's $35. Definitely just want to say with the you can get pretty great looking George shirts. You can get extra texture in a blue shirt instead of the actual cover
Hmm.
is orange. So the colors are reversed, which makes it looks really cool.
Oh yeah.
And then there's a 33 and a third related shirt. And so I think the George site is doing a good job of being like, hey, people might, hey, somebody extra texture might be somebody's favorite album.
Yeah.
They want to get an extra texture shirt. They go to the George site, it's there. They can buy it.
They've been a lot more
Yeah.
tasteful than some of the other sites. Like
Yeah.
I have a hoodie, a Dark
Hmm.
Horse hoodie that I really like, and it
That's
looks
right.
people have commented on it, and so yeah, they do it well.
Yeah. Yeah, so I definitely check that out. There's also some picks available in conjunction with Fender and Dark Horse collection available now. So, and that was a reasonable price too. So, George site, thumbs up, reasonable prices, great designs on the shirts, a good variety of shirts. Could go further. All of the Beatles solo people could go further with offering album related, like this
Yeah.
Live in Japan exclusive Live in Japan shirt. Like, oh, maybe Live in Japan's my favorite thing, and I want to buy that shirt. The John Lennon site doesn't have that. It doesn't have anything really that's related to any of the albums. However, it does have some pretty cool looking shirts. It's got an Imagine John Lennon Plastic Ono band with John's face, but it's in sort of in negative,
Hmm.
on a black shirt. Very very cool looking shirt. That's going for about $35. It's got a "You Are Here" pillow, which is pretty cool, for $45. So, and a lot of different little interesting shirts, but nothing of his album covers. So it's a little bit of an
Hmm.
odder selection. And then you've got the Paul site, which is Paul's got a lot of stuff out there, but I
Yeah.
think a lot of it is kind of junky looking, you know?
Aren't there tour shirts too?
Yeah, there's a lot of tour shirts, and
Yeah.
there's remember when Paul did real Snapchats of his face,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is weird. You can get shirts of that, but it
Hmm.
can't get a press to play shirt, or you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So it's a little weird. However, there's a couple cool items. The wonderful Christmas time crew neck with Paul with his kind of mouth open, and he's wearing that heavy hat there with
Uh-huh.
thing. So that one's kind of cool. I like that one. The horse photo tee, that's pretty sharp looking one. That's $40. I actually asked for the Wings Raglan shirt
Hmm.
for Christmas, $38. And then there's the selection of what albums though are representative. There's no Venus and Mars, but you can get a Thrillington shirt,
Yeah.
you know. So
I
I
guess
just
that's
don't.
to show how hip you are.
Yeah. Now I also wanted to point out, this is not on Paul's site, but if you search Paul McCartney Eyes of the Storm, you can get a whole bunch of stuff on the NPG shop, npgshop.org.uk. but it's translatable to US dollars. And if you're a collector and you like images from that book, for instance, the one of George getting handed a drink by the
Oh
girl in
yeah.
the bikini,
Right.
that's on a shirt. So it's
Oh.
like that would be a cooler shirt than
Hmm.
almost anything on any of these sites,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of small ticket items like bookmarks and postcards and things
Hmm.
like that. So that is definitely worth a look, and I'm gonna guess it's not gonna be there too long.
No.
So you might want to, if you're particularly if you're a collector and like to have as much Beatles stuff as you can get your eyes. There's a lot of the shirts were just like Paul, like where it says in the book where it goes Miami, and it's just Paul's
Oh, like
writing of
writing.
Miami.
Yeah, yeah.
That's on a shirt. I don't know. I need that, but
No. Huh.
and then the Ringo shirts are way thumbs down. They're very unimpressive. Most of them say peace and love and
Of
all this stuff.
course.
There's some cool Ringo images out there. Like, have you ever seen that one where Ringo is like laying on a bed that's a star?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
like a silvery thing. That would be an amazing shirt,
Yeah.
So I just think,
Maybe you missed your calling. You should have been a marketer here.
yeah, yeah, I should be a shirt designer.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So anyway,
Oh, well,
well,
very good.
that's about it for gifts.
Yes. Well, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah,
So, we'll wrap up our episode with our predictions after we do our next segment
that's
of
right.
Beatles stuff. So, pretty good overall. I mean, I think there's a lot of interesting books and a lot of uh, items to keep you busy, and yeah, you could have a lot of reading to do here.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
Well, once a year we like to talk about other music, Dave. And we've are sort of have a starting and stopping sort of hopefully getting back on its feet again YouTube channel called Song Album Career, and we talk about other music there. But this is our one time a year to talk about like stuff. So first we like to talk about things that are sort of like in the re-release box set bootleg series type stuff, usually talking about older artists.
right.
So why don't you start us off there?
Well, again, we don't know. You and I may have some overlaps here. I don't
Mhm.
know, but if so, that's why I picked. I have four things here, and I'm just read them straight down, more or less.
Yeah.
But the main one I really liked was I don't know if you know, but I'm a big Crosby, Stills, Nash fan, and always have been.
Hmm.
But this year, Stephen Stills, there's a release live at Berkeley in 1971, and it
Ah,
was right after Deja Vu with CSN and Y, and it's a half acoustic set and then electric set, and it's got some solo stuff. David Crosby comes and sings on a couple songs, so a great set. Always like Stephen Stills, so live at Berkeley, 1971.
very good.
Uh,
Very cool.
yeah, and then Dionne Warwick has the complete Scepter or Scepter singles, 1962 to 73. I love her Bacharach songs, and they're
Yeah.
all on there. And she's got a cool hip style and a lot of tunes I've never heard before. So that's another great collection.
Very
You
cool. I
big Dionne Warwick fan?
well, I have become more of one, particularly after I watched the Dionne Warwick documentary that I think was on CNN, and
Yes.
now it's
Yeah.
probably available on one of the streaming sites like Max or somebody
Yeah.
like that. Excellent documentary. So I think I'll deep dive into that.
Yeah, it's all her big hits up to 1973. Well worth checking out. Then also another collection. The Pet Shop Boys are another
Yeah.
fun group I've loved for a while.
Yeah.
They have a new greatest hits updated and remastered. It's called Smash the Singles 1985 to 2020. And so,
Dave's got the brains.
yeah,
Dave's got the looks.
you got it.
Let's make no
Let's,
money on this podcast.
you got it. So if you like you like the Pet Shop Boys and you're
Yeah.
into looking for a new collection, you kind of got everything there that you would need, and much updated sound, which I
Yeah.
don't like really re-release it, just like slapping something out on vinyl with no updates or no,
Yeah.
to me that's you got to do something to it.
Yeah.
So I like when they at least fix the sound. And then the last one just came out recently, and we talked about this a little bit, but the Bob Dylan Live at Budokan
Hmm.
1978 set that just came out in the latest in the bootleg series from his series of concerts in Japan, which were pretty critically panned, but
Hmm.
uh, in retrospect sound really great. And Bob is personable. I mean, he talks to the audience. He plays a lot of hits in different ways, and I'm just listening to this album a lot lately. So
Yeah.
definitely a surprise find.
I've been enjoying that one too. And, considering it's so panned historically, I've been seeing pans of the set as well.
Oh yeah.
Mixed with praise of the set. So I
Hmm.
think sometimes people can't get out of their own way they have been thinking about things. But these Beatles,
Yeah.
if there's one piece of advice you ever listen to, it's like do things more like the Bob Dylan camp.
Yeah.
This year they gave us two bootleg series collections, that complete Budokan, and what I was gonna have one of my selections be the Fragments Time Out of Mind set,
Hmm.
which is excellent. Alternate cuts from Time Out of Mind era, just really very good, very enjoyable to listen to. As well as Shadow Kingdom, the pretty
Yeah.
cool live set from a couple years ago, where the very fresh takes on some of his, you know, more classic songs. So the Dylan Camp just like is the gift that just keeps on
Yeah.
giving
They're
year after
incredible.
year. And boy, if I had a whole bunch of money, I'd go back and buy every single set I could get my hands on.
I know.
I think they. Yeah, I saw some interview where one of the people in the Bob Dylan camp were suggesting that they're working on a way where maybe some of this that really these sets with like 36 CDs on it
Right.
would be available somehow streaming.
Hmm.
Maybe the same way that there was like I know there was a Neil Young thing where you could
Oh yeah. Yeah.
pay monthly or something. So I think that would be maybe the only artist I would sign up for something like that for.
Yes,
Um,
definitely.
so here's some of the
Yeah, what are
other
your reissues for
yeah.
your this year?
Well, one of the biggest events period this year was the re-release of Stop Making Sense, the Talking Heads movie, and the Talking Heads Stop Making Sense of expanded edition came, and it came out on vinyl and then it's all sold out, or
Mm,
I don't know if they underprinted it or if there were issues with it or if they're gonna do another run of it. But it is I can't get it now. I can't find
mm.
it anywhere. So I really wanted that pretty badly. So but yeah, you can hear it streaming and it's just like excellent because it's the full show instead
Yeah,
of just the edited up version that had come out initially.
you
Um
just like are you going to dress in your oversized suit and run
that's right.
around the stage? Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. No, I almost put that on my list. It's a
Yeah.
great release.
I've always enjoyed the Who, and this year came this Who Lifehouse and Who's Next set. And Who's Next is just a great Who album. Now they released a whole bunch of different versions that like one's a half speed mastered vinyl version, and then there's a vinyl version that's not half speed mastered, but with a concert. So that's a 4 disc set. I think if I had some money to spend on it, I would actually buy the CD set here. I've really enjoyed diving into it on streaming. I wish I had I know in that physical set you get a big old book, you get a graphic novel kind of, and for the first time, and I listened to a lot of the Lifehouse stuff, and for the first time it's sort of like Oh, I kind of sort of get his concept. I
Hmm.
think it's like almost 50 years before its time, the whole Lifehouse thing. So this is definitely worth a listen to and a deep dive into the Who's Next. And then my last sort of re-release bootleg series box set type thing. When you're doing a remix sometimes, I know a lot of people get complain about some remixes, but
No, no.
I
What are you talking about?
but sometimes an album really needs it. And the Replacements released an album called Tim, and by all accounts, not one of their better albums. Well, now it's been remixed, the Let It Bleed edition. And I've heard my friend Kanan Arumugam is probably the biggest Replacements fan I've ever met. And he is just like, oh, this is now my favorite album. It's like completely re-enlivened the album. And I listened to it a few times, and it really is something special. So the Replacements Tim, the Let It Bleed edition, I think is one of the big winners of the year. So
Oh,
definitely check that one out.
good. Yeah, and there's so many more. I mean, there's Joni Mitchell, there's she has another set out, there's some Billy Joel, there's
Yeah. Yeah.
all kinds of stuff that you could pick. Fleetwood Mac had one, right? A concert,
Oh yeah,
Rumors
Rumors
Live, and
Live came out.
yeah,
The David Bowie had an expanded version of the Ziggy Stardust
yeah, yeah,
album, so that's pretty good.
yeah,
So lots of great stuff out there this year. Lots of good
yeah.
new music too, Dave, I think.
Yes, there is. And this is always the harder of the two categories for me because I'm not a huge new music fan
Hmm.
of at least rock pop world. So I kind of have my favorites and I pick my favorites a lot. So
Hmm.
should we get
Well,
into
that's okay. Yeah,
yeah.
why don't you go ahead? Go ahead.
All right. Well, yeah, a group that we're going to hopefully feature on Song Album Career next year, some way, shape, or form, is Wilco because they had a new album. I've mentioned my love of Wilco's music for a while. They have a new album called Cousin, which is doing very well and kind of a return to form after a country album and some other stuff. The lead singer, Jeff Tweedy, also has a book out.
Hmm.
But I like the new Wilco album. Sigur Rós has a new album called Ata that if you like kind of spacey, slow core music
Yeah.
that's very ethereal and kind of Iceland and incomprehensible Icelandic, that's your group. But I like their new album a lot.
Yep.
Another singer I've mentioned before, but I'm a diehard fan is named Mika, and he has an album called, it's in French, uh, Que te la tête fleurisse toujours. Should be very exciting coming out next week,
Hmm.
and a big fan of his. And then finally, I think someone who may be on your list as well, Sufjan Stevens, with
Mm.
his new album Javelin, which
Yeah.
is again another terrific album in the style of Carrie and Lowell.
Yeah, that one I was about to say that one's kind of like similar. If you
Yeah,
liked Carrie and Lowell, which we talked about, I think a lot
yeah,
that came out. It's definitely similar to that in that he's had a loss in his life,
right.
and he's sort of reflecting on it. And I was saying when it came out to you, it breaks no new ground. Like some of his work can really be bound, like pushing what you'd expect from him. This one doesn't do that, but what it does very well.
Oh, very well.
Yeah,
Very, yeah, very
great songs on
creative.
that.
Hmm.
Well, very
What about
good.
you? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I want to say my favorite album of the year is Blonde Redhead Sit Down for Dinner. Blonde Redhead, it's an alternative rock band, and they formed in like the 90s, and in the 90s they were a little bit more of a noise rock band, but they evolved in the 2000s to be a more of a dream pop, shoegaze, other genres. Had two great albums, Misery is a Butterfly and 23. around that time. Fantastic albums. Check them out. But the newest album, Sit Down for Dinner, is a real return to form after kind of some questionable albums before that. Tried the song Snowman and If, pretty great group. Really love that one. I'm a huge PJ Harvey fan.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
have
yeah.
every single album of hers on, and the B-sides. And she finally released a new album after many years off, called "I Inside the Old Year Dying," and a lot of the album is the lyrics are seemingly out of order, and the language is kind of hard to get around. I really think it sounds wonderful. Prayer at the Gates, a great song off that. She also had the B-sides demos rarities set that I'm still unpacking, that came out really early in the year. Anoni and the Johnsons. Now Anoni is a trans person, and the album My Back Was a Bridge for You to Cross, and it really speaks to trans rights issues, but the songs are great too. So definitely check out Why Am I Alive Now and Rest. Great songs, fantastic. Particularly if you care, if trans rights is something you care about, it would be definitely an album to seek out, because it really we're most of the albums we listen to, they're nice, they're great, but this one also says some things.
Yeah.
So that's good. And then another good, I've mentioned Buck Meek before.
Oh yeah.
I think Buck Meek's very underrated because he's part of a bigger band with a bigger star in the band of Big Thief. But Buck Meek released an album called Haunted Mountain this year. Very great, wonderful songs on it. Didn't Know You Then's one of the better songs on that one. So those are all thumbs up for me. The Boy Genius album too, that's pretty good.
I was going to ask you, I
Yeah.
kind of expected that one to be on your list because I'd been seeing
Yeah.
that one. It sort of speaks to your
Yeah.
style in some ways.
Yeah. Now, one other album I wanted to point out, Dave.
Yeah.
Juliana Hatfield, who I've always liked since the 90s, just released Juliana Hatfield Sings ELO, a
Oh, that's
10-track Juliana Hatfield covering ELO. And it's not just the chalk greatest hits. There are some of those Strange Magic and those type of songs in there, but some of them are some pretty side ELO songs that you
some
might
deep
not know.
cuts.
Some
Yeah.
deep cuts. So I'm thumbs
Oh,
up to that. I was listening to it earlier today. I really enjoyed it. So
yeah. That's like a perfect melding of things.
yeah.
Yeah,
Jeff Lynne.
definitely. Absolutely.
So, all
Wow.
right,
Well,
Dave.
so many things. All right. Well, it's been an interesting year, and as we wrap up, we'll probably have another episode or two before the end of the year. We'll
Yeah,
see how things go. But for 2024, you already mentioned one that has to be on our list is the Mind Games
that's right.
expanded deluxe edition, which is supposed to be, I believe it was June of
Yeah.
2024. So summer, you can look for the 6 CD and
Yeah.
6 vinyl or whatever Mind Game set.
And that that is one of the few things that is absolutely confirmed, at
Yes.
least by the posting of the Lennon camp on an actual post. They said
Yes.
it is coming out in 2024. So we're looking very much forward to that. Based on the back of the quality of the first two sets, I think it's gonna knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
Semi-confirmed too is two more Ringo EPs.
I was going to say that, if it's another year, there's going to be at least one Ringo EP coming.
Yeah. And
Yep.
one of those apparently is going to be a country one with
Right.
T-Bone Burnett producing. So I'm very, very much looking forward to that one. I like T-Bone Burnett's work producing other artists. So
Yeah.
maybe that'll be the best of the EPs that we have ever gotten. So
Yeah. Well, how about from
Beatles.
Paul? Or you
Well,
want to go
well, well, it's a
let's do
Beatles. Are we doing it? Are we getting the Rubber Soul? Rubber Soul? Yes or no?
mm, boy, I don't know. I mean, yeah, with the fact that we had a lot of Rubber Soul remixes on the
Mm-hmm.
Red album kind of leads me to think there will be, but then yeah, I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say there will be a Rubber Soul, and they're gonna say be damned with the. I mean, Revolver didn't follow the anniversary
Yeah.
period, so
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna say yes that Rubber Soul will be next year.
I think yes. I'm wondering, is there a possibility that it will be a Rubber Soul and Help
Oh,
kind of combined like thing, and then the next year they'll go back and do the two before
aha,
that just to try to get it all
yeah,
because what we're getting now is less of the bonus tracks because most of the stuff's not there because
right.
they just recorded it real quick
Or we've
from
heard the best stuff was on Anthology, or the
yeah.
stuff like that. So, hmm,
So I don't know. That's just a little thought in my head. If I had a prediction, the chalk prediction is a full Rubber Soul set. That's what's coming out,
that's a
and
good one.
it's gonna be similar to the Revolver set, but it's got to have less
Yeah,
bonus tracks in it,
yeah,
right?
that's
So
true.
I don't know how they're gonna pad that out. So I'm not sure.
But so we'll agree to say that there'll be something Rubber Soul in
Yeah.
2024.
Now
Okay.
the big one, the big
Yeah.
elephant in the room, Paul.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
I really have no idea. There was rumors he was working on new music.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a new album with some hot shot producer who was working with Adele, or I don't know, somebody.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that who knows? Uh,
There's been no archive since Flaming Pie. Was that the
right,
last
right. That
archive
was the
one?
last one. Yeah.
We kept getting teased with perhaps there'd be, something as far as that goes. Oh, remember we thought, there's gonna be an announcement. What's this announcement gonna be? And it was all that huge, very expensive,
Oh,
had to buy it that day
yeah.
singles set. When did that come
Yes.
out? Was
That
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 the
that
end of
was
last
last
year?
year. Yeah, the 100 and whatever
Yeah.
singles collection,
Yeah.
which was, kind of cool because it also had some remixes of albums that have not come out, like Press to Play and
Yeah.
things like that. But yeah, that nothing since.
Yeah. I
So I don't know. I really
I
can't make a prediction because
I'm
it's
confused as to what I think some of their, for instance, the whole strategy with when new came out, and then there was so much, or I'm sorry, with McCartney 3. McCartney 3 came out, and you got all this other stuff. You got these vinyl variants, you got all that.
the 10
Okay.
colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the fact that they repeated that with McCartney 3 Imagined,
Right.
and they went full force with that, and now it's like those are bargain bin selections. I got a copy of it for barely anything because it
Yeah.
was like on sale. I think it was like $8 I paid for it.
I
Uh
see it in
uh
used whenever I go to a record store and I look in McCartney, there's always at least one
yeah.
McCartney Imagined used.
So did the companies that release this stuff, did they come to the wrong conclusions? And they're
Hmm.
like, maybe we should put out oh, and then after that they gave us a McCartney 321.
Yeah.
So I you know, 6, 7, 8 years ago we were getting, I'd be sure that we're gonna get a Driving Rain and Press to Play and all this out
Yeah.
of print albums are just gonna come out and we'll be able to buy them if we want.
Off the
Yeah.
ground and
Off the
all that.
Ground,
Yeah.
Tripping Live Fantastic,
Yeah.
etc., etc. So I think they've abandoned that strategy. Maybe they've abandoned the archive series altogether.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
they are thinking, oh, these Beatles things are so good as far as the sales goes. But maybe the Paul campus, maybe they're like, okay, what we're gonna get is a complete reset and
Mm.
start to do remixes along with, you know, bonus
Well,
tracks and all that stuff, all these albums. I don't know, but it's just a mess right now. And it's like at least give us something.
yeah,
We
yeah.
know that there's like old concerts in the vault. We know there's these albums we haven't had. I can't, you know how much I saw for $100 Driving Rain on vinyl for $100 in some
Oof.
store. I'm like, who's buying this for
Yeah,
that price? A, but B, like, why not just put it out back out at
yeah, yeah.
least just to have some product out there? I just don't get what they're doing.
No,
So
no. So I can't make a prediction for McCartney because I
yeah.
just don't know. And for George, my prediction is the one I always have: nothing. So,
Well, I'm gonna predict this year finally we're gonna get some George. Now that it's like, all right, we got it all under one roof. I
mm,
think now it's been trying to figure out a strategy.
yeah, yeah,
And additionally, the All Things Must Pass sets that came out were before this deal, right?
true.
So, and I think there were some errors made, maybe like you can still get the big $1,000 case
The crate,
that has
yeah,
all the stuff. You can still get that on the You Discover Music site at least, and I think on
yeah,
George's site even. So maybe they're just trying to wait till that dies down and dies out, and
mm,
then they'll start on something that seems to have a strategy. Now,
yeah.
when they said something like all the colored vinyl we can get away with, I didn't like that because I'm like, I don't need just like you said, just another release of something just to have another release of something.
Because we're
If
not
there's
really collectors, like in that
Yeah,
that sense. Yeah,
in that sense, I don't need the picture disc. I
right,
don't need
right.
the color. I do buy some colored vinyl sometimes, but it's because that it's an option of colored vinyl
Yeah,
or black vinyl. Maybe I'm paying $1 more for the colored vinyl or
right,
something.
right.
Sure, I'll get the colored vinyl. It'll look cool.
Hmm.
But I don't need these albums are out there and were circulated not a ancient time ago and are
Yeah,
still floating out there. You can still go to a store and find a George Harrison or find a
yeah. Cloud
from
Nine or
Cloud Nine
something, or
from a copy that came out 5 to
yeah,
10 years ago in
yeah.
that range. So I I don't want them just to re-release it and put it on colored vinyl and call it a day. I'd
No,
rather get either a half speed master, a remaster, or a big set or something like that. But we'll see what happens.
yeah. We will see for
And
sure.
your prediction of nothing from last year was 100% dead on.
Yeah. If you predict nothing, it means you'll be pleasantly surprised when something does come
Yes,
out. So,
yes.
did we forget anything? Let us know on our
Yep.
Facebook page or Twitter or by email at I've got a Beatles podcast at hotmail.com. Like I said, we'll have another episode or two before the end of 2023. And let us know what you decide to buy or what you're looking for. There's a lot of items, and hopefully, we gave you some more things to add to your list. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, thanks as always for listening, and we'll be back at you soon with another episode.